Adventure Time, a cartoon for children which in anyone's eyes has nothing much behind it. But is it really like that? The Mushroom War is quite interesting because it's basically the cause of most of the current events in the series. It all starts 1,000 years before the current events, where, for some unknown reason, a war on a global scale between humans begins to take place, but on a much larger and more catastrophic scale, which gave rise to an apocalyptic scenario where millions of people died. There were crises, orphans, and all sort of things you can imagine in a war. Until what everyone feared, the war took on a nuclear proportion, with atomic bombs being dropped on various parts of the world, and with that, little by little, civilizations disappeared. Several times, we can see that the Earth has a huge crater the size of an entire continent. Many suspect that the crater was created by the Catalyst comet, but it wasn't, and the crater wasn't created by atomic bombs either. The BMO's cousin, the CGO, shows us how the crater was made. 2 atomic bombs exploding, but neither of them came close to the destruction caused by something else, which the CGO doesn't show exactly what it is, but from the illustration, you can conclude that it was a very large-scale electromagnetic pulse with a very high level of energy. The bomb or situation that released this electromagnetic pulse was so powerful that it was able to create a crater the size of a continent, literally changing the shape of the Earth permanently. We don't know, but it's scary to think that it managed to literally destroy part of the planet. It could be that even one of the countries used the essence of the Green Catalyst comet to create this super bomb. After the war ended, the whole world was in ruins, with very few survivors left, enough to say that the human race was practically extinct. The world's infrastructure was completely destroyed, with only a few remains left, such as bridges, destroyed cars, abandoned buildings, and mortal remains. The beings that remained in after the explosions were the oozers, or slime monsters, which were humans who were directly affected by the mutagen, and ended up becoming zombies that pour a corrosive liquid from their eyes and mouths. Some survived by especially or so-natural means, such as Simon Petrikov, aka Ice King, who stayed alive thanks to the crown of Urgent Evergreen. Others were Mo Giovanni, the creator of the BMO, a tribe of humans led by Tom Two Breaths, Marceline, who is a half-demon, half-human and vampire. Marceline's mother, Elise, was dying of unknown illness, Susan Strong, and finally, Fenn. You can get an idea of how the world might have looked with the FarmWorld timeline that was created when Finn asked Lich, who until now was just a product of the nuclear bomb, not a cosmetic entity, never to have existed. In this timeline, the first nuclear bomb never exploded, nor was the electromagnetic pulse released, because before the war happened, Simon froze the bomb, but died when he was crushed by it. And the crown ended up releasing a spasm of magic so powerful that it condemned the Earth to a 400-year ice age. When the ice age ended, the war never started, and the bomb was frozen for all that time, being guarded by Marceline, who in this timeline was never beaten by a vampire, so she never became immortal. The result was a completely normal world inhabited by humans, where magic was just a myth, so much that when Marceline tells Simon's story to Finn, he doesn't believe it. In other words, if the Mushroom War had never happened, Earth would still be a normal place. Magic. We know that magic did exist before the war, millions of years ago, since the time of the dinosaurs with the elementals. But it seems that the more we live in the present day, the more magic has been forgotten, hidden, giving way to science. You can see that in Simon's video we see military planes flying, not mythical species or exotic species, but airplanes. But Simon had already found the crown before the war, which means that magic was gradually returning, which led us to believe that only after the Mushroom War, when humans were practically extinct, magic could return in full force. Perhaps when the electromagnetic pulse destroyed a large part of the Earth, it may have caused a dimensional rift, what made magic enter this reality. So much so that later we see Shoko helping the Princess Bubblegum building her castle, right on top of the mutagen. Only she ended up falling there and was disfigured and muted because of that radiation, meaning that years after the war a new type of life began to appear on the planet, intelligent life, but not human, which could have come from the mutagen itself or which had always existed and were now able to flourish in the absence of humanity. These same lives were able to reinvent human technologies and even invented their own. 1,000 years have passed since the conflict, and the universe of Adventure Time is just as it is. Although this is an animation and naturally doesn't emphasize this theme so much due to its seriousness, a more in-depth investigation revealed that it is considerably darker than initially perceived. It is a post-apocalyptic scenario, inhabited by bizarre beings and with humanity almost extinct. However, this reality goes unnoticed by the viewer, camouflaged by a vibrant and adventurous aesthetic, although the underlying narrative is indeed tragic.